2000 Lexus ES300 runs and drives quite well, but this vehicle will not pass New York State inspection as it is right now, and as such, this car can't be registered until these repairs are done. We've specialized in Volkswagen Audi here at Select New York Cars, and we have an extremely busy service facility, so rather than pricing this car around $4,500 and doing all the repairs, we've priced it right. But, and I keep saying but, this car should be purchased only by a mechanic who can do the repairs on his own, because paying somebody to do the repairs most likely would not make sense, and the car can't be registered here in New York until it passes inspection. If you live out of state, you want to come and get it and drive it home, you can get an in-transit permit that's good for 30 days. That doesn't mean it'll pass your inspections back home. You've got to check your state rules. But in New York, the car definitely won't pass because it doesn't pass New York State inspection. You can't get a 10-day. It has to be repaired before registration. Now, what kind of repairs are we noting? The check engine light is on, has nothing to do with the engine. It has to do with evaporative emissions. All cars have an evaporative emission system, and this has faults for the evaporative system, for incorrect purge flow, incorrect vent control fault, and evap canister valves are a mess under the rear of the car, meaning rust on the lines and whatnot on the evap, which is causing evap leaks. The air conditioning is cool, not cold, eventually blows warm, can feel air blowing out of the evaporator drain tube. Again, that's not inspection, we're just mentioning that. The parking brake doesn't hold, the parking brake pedal is stiff, the rear brakes are very rusty. Car seems to stop fine on the road, but it won't pass inspection without the emergency brake working correctly. Brakes are somewhat spongy. The front brake pads were what was called pad slap, meaning someone replaced the brake pads, didn't replace the rotors. In the rears, the rear rotors are badly rotted and they're very thin. There are brake pads in the trunk, metal to metal. Don't know why the former owner saved them, but we left them there. The right rear inner brake pad is 90% worn. The rear rotors are badly rotted. There are new brake pads in the trunk for the rear. There are some exhaust leaks. They have nothing to do with inspection, and brakes don't fail unless they're metal to metal on New York rules, but rusty brakes should be fixed. Likewise, the center exhaust pipe is completely separated from the rear muffler. That's pretty common. The pipes rust around the muffler. The front crossover pipe that joins the exhaust from each head is rotted on top. It appears to have a small catalytic converter or resonator, so it doesn't seem to be throwing code for that. The rear catalytic converter front flange on the rear converter is leaking on the converter side. The right rear wheel bearing is loose. It has mismatched tires. The tires are in great shape, awesome tread, but it has 205, 55, 60 tires on the front, 205, 60, 16 on the rear. Again, that doesn't fail inspection, but it ought to be addressed over the long run. Left rear tire is worn to the wear bars, has some sidewall dry rot, almost flat. We put air in it, of course. Must have a leak, and a sidewall with dry rot officially does not pass New York State inspection, so would need to be replaced. The brake lines and one fuel line have previously been replaced. Other lines are crusty in spots, so those other lines should be replaced. They are a safety concern. The left rear rocker panel and the floor is rotted through to within 4 inches of where the left rear trailing arm attaches. New York State, that passes inspection for now, may not pass next year if that rust isn't taken care of. Both front sway bar links are broken. Power steering pump appears to be leaking some. Multiple other fluid leaks. The front bumper is broken. The lower grille section is completely detached from the bumper at top. That has nothing to do with inspection. The left turn signal housing not being attached, that's questionable, probably not part of inspection. The turn signals do work, and we're just honest in sharing that with you. Now I'll walk around the vehicle. The headlights are foggy. That usually can be buffed up. No crack in the plastic front bumper cover. Typical rust on the aluminum wheels, you'd expect that. The tires, Douglas Performance brand in the front. They look pretty good to the eyes. Looks like leather seating. Of course it has cracks in it and some dirt over the age and use. Memory seating from the factory. Tiny bit of rust here on the rocker. Nothing that's a big deal. Some wood trim on the door panels. And typical stains and dirt over some years of use. Remote mirrors. Steering wheel has some wood to it. Some leather and stitching, kind of fancy. Cruise control. I didn't test the cruise. Some nice wood trim around the shifter. Heated seats, separate control, driver and passenger. Electronic climate controls. Stereo cassette. Remember the cassettes? The power sunroof. Storage compartment. I can figure out how to open it here. There we go. Looks like some power outlets. It says 12 volts and 120 watt. So, got some decent power there. Maybe a broken lever or something that's sitting inside that compartment. Oh, and these are locking lug nuts, so they're keys for the locking lug nuts. Digital clock, they call that the Lexus Performance Sound System. And really neat that they had all the owner's manuals that went along with the vehicle. Again, this fellow used to be in the automotive business who owned the vehicle. And so he's kind of a car fellow. I'm just looking here if I can see where the trunk releases. There we go. Remote trunk. Here's a view from the driver's rear. Mat pockets in the back of the seats. Room for 3 across. Fold down center armrest. And a pass through to the trunk. Again, this car doesn't pass inspection here in New York. So you can't register the car. You can't get a 10-day until it's been ready to pass inspection. Some rust around the rear wheel arch. Little scab there. Nothing that's terribly serious there. The trunk. Looks like they got some spare jacks in there and lug wrenches. There's some of the brake pads. They have a gallon of coolant in there. It's got the factory carpet mats that say Lexus on them. Here's a view from the passenger rear. Awfully straight. The body overall looks quite decent. Here's a view of the tire and the tread on the right rear. Good tread. There was the one that was mentioned. I don't forget which one. I read a few minutes ago telling you that the tire had cracks in the sidewall and whatnot and should be replaced. The ones we're showing off look pretty darn good to the naked eye. Right rear, door jamb and all looks good. Sunroof tilts up and fully retracts. If you do all the repairs, if you can afford to do them or do them yourselves, then you get it inspected. This might make a decent car for somebody. Full power on the seating. The passenger seat's much cleaner. And all the owner's manuals. Under the hood, if I can figure out how to open a Lexus hood. Can you tell we do these videos live? There we go. V6, 3-liter, 4-cam, 24 valve, variable valve timing. That's a powerful power plant. ABS brakes. We see all the EPA emission stickers, so no sign of any serious prior damage. I think we noted on the Carfax there was some damage that was showing. Nothing that was recent. Die-Hard battery. We all know the Die-Hards had a good reputation. One of the better lasting batteries, and that oil filter appears to be orange. It might be a Fram. Hard to say. So no warranty on this vehicle. The car does not pass inspection, so we can't register it here. You can't go to Motor Vehicle and register it and get a 10-day. You have to have it brought home on a trailer, rent a dolly, whatever, do the repairs needed. Once it passes inspection, then it can be registered here in New York. Out of state, again, can probably get an in-transit permit, take it out of state, but what the rules are and what the safety rules are regarding your registering out of state, you got to check with your local Motor Vehicles. We're open 7 days a week, 41 years. Just being honest, everything that we see, this is a 21-year-old car, almost 22 years old, I guess by the model years. Runs and drives well. If you can do the other repairs, it might make sense. You can get it checked out by your own mechanic if you like. Thank you.